The massive view screen aboard the United Galactic Alliance flagship, Eternal Dawn, displayed a sight that High Commander Zarlak had hoped never to witness. The final defensive line of the Alliance crumbling before the relentless advance of the Shatterborn fleet. The crystalline ships glinted like deadly jewels against the backdrop of space, their faceted surfaces refracting the light of nearby stars into prismatic death rays that cut through Alliance vessels with terrifying precision. "Status report," Zarlak demanded, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he processed the tactical display. "Critical, High Commander," First Officer Venra replied, her tentacles writhing in distress. "The 7th Fleet is down to 18% strength. The Shatterborn have adapted to our latest shield modifications. Our weapons barely scratch their crystalline hulls now. 3 years. It had been 3 years since the Shatterborn emerged from the depths of intergalactic space, their massive fleet of living crystal ships harvesting entire worlds for materials to spawn more of their kind. The Alliance, with its thousands of years of technological advancement, had seemed invincible. Their quantum phase weapons and hyperdimensional shields were the pinnacle of military science. Or so they had thought. The Shatterborn were unlike anything they had encountered. The crystalline entities seemed to absorb and adapt to every weapon the Alliance deployed. Traditional energy weapons were refracted harmlessly through their crystalline hulls. Kinetic weapons shattered against their geometrically perfect structures, the fragments absorbed and repurposed. Even their most advanced quantum weaponry was proving increasingly ineffective as the Shatterborn evolved their defensive patterns. "High Commander," the communications officer called out, her voice carrying an unusual note of surprise. "We're detecting an unregistered ship approaching through fold space. It's using a completely unknown drive signature." Zarlak turned his attention to the new contact. The ship that emerged from fold space was unlike anything in the Alliance database. Its hull was an oddly primitive-looking combination of angular plates and curves, lacking the sleek aesthetic of Alliance vessels or the crystalline perfection of Shatterborn ships. It was smaller than most Alliance capital ships, yet something about its presence commanded attention. "We're being hailed," the communications officer reported. "The ship identifies itself as the TES Aegis. They're using radio waves?" "Radio waves," Venra scoffed. "No spacefaring civilization has used such primitive technology in millennia." Zarlak raised a hand for silence. At this point, they had nothing left to lose. Put them through. The view screen shifted to show a command bridge that seemed impossibly archaic by Alliance standards. Instead of the expected holographic interfaces and AI projections, there were physical control stations manned by beings Zarlak recognized from historical records. Humans. They had only recently joined the galactic community, and most considered them barely more than primitives. A human female stood from the central chair, her dark skin contrasting with the silver streaks in her tightly coiled hair. Her uniform was simple, but carried an air of authority that transcended species barriers. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the Terran expeditionary ship Aegis," she announced, her voice carrying both warmth and steel. "We received your distress signal. The Earth Defense Force sends its regards and its help." Venra stepped forward, mandibles clicking in agitation. "With all due respect, Captain, this is not a diplomatic situation. We are in the middle of a battle for survival against an enemy that has defeated our most advanced technology. A single ship, especially one of your technological level, cannot." "Actually," Captain Chen interrupted, a slight smile playing at her lips, "that's exactly why we're here. We've been studying your reports on the Shatterborn. We believe we have something they've never encountered before: human ingenuity and what you might call primitive technology." Before Zarlak could respond, proximity alarms blared. A group of Shatterborn ships had broken off from the main fleet, their crystalline forms reconfiguring for attack as they approached the Aegis. "Captain," Zarlak warned, "their weapons will." "Don't worry, High Commander," Chen replied, her smile growing. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. allow us to demonstrate why humanity never abandons a working technology, no matter how ancient it might seem. The Aegis turned to face the approaching Shatterborn ships, its seemingly primitive hull plates shifting to reveal weapon ports that no advanced scanner had detected. As the crystalline ships opened fire with their energy weapons, the galaxy was about to learn why humans were known for keeping their options open. All of them. The bridge of the Aegis erupted into controlled chaos as the crew prepared for their first engagement with the Shatterborn. Unlike the automated systems of Alliance vessels, each station buzzed with human activity, officers calling out reports and acknowledgments in a symphony of organized disorder that would have horrified their alien observers. Crystalline structure analysis complete. Lieutenant Sarah Wong called from the science station, her fingers dancing across physical buttons and switches. Their lattice formation is perfect, too perfect. No natural crystal grows with that level of uniformity. Captain Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the approaching enemy ships. And what happens to perfect crystals under the right conditions, Lieutenant? They shatter along predictable lines, Captain, especially when subjected to resonant frequencies. Tactical status of the sonic disruptors. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rodriguez grinned at his weapons console. Armed and ready, Captain. Old Earth tech, modified with some new tricks. Just like we practiced. The Shatterborn ships fired their first salvo, prismatic beams of coherent energy lancing out toward the Aegis. But instead of deploying energy shields like Alliance vessels, the human ship's hull plates suddenly shifted, their surfaces becoming mirror-polished at precisely calculated angles. Reflective armor engage, reported Commander Emily Hayes from Engineering. Metamaterial coating responding perfectly. Their own weapons are being scattered and reflected. The Alliance officers watching from the Eternal Dawn couldn't believe their eyes. The supposedly primitive human vessel was dancing through the Shatterborn attack using technology that their civilization had abandoned ages ago. Physical armor plates with properties that no energy shield could replicate. Now, Mr. Rodriguez, Chen ordered, show them why humans never stopped studying acoustics in space. The Aegis's hull vibrated as it released a carefully calibrated wave of sonic energy, transmitted through focused graviton beams that the Alliance used for communication. The Shatterborn ships, their crystalline structures perfectly ordered, began to resonate with the frequency. Target the stress points, Chen commanded. Fire kinetic penetrators. Physical projectiles. Another weapons technology the Alliance had long since abandoned. Accelerated to relativistic speeds, striking the Shatterborn ships at exactly the points where the sonic resonance had created structural weaknesses. The results were spectacular. The crystalline vessels didn't just break. They shattered along their perfect lattice lines, their fragments spinning uselessly in space. High Commander, Captain Chen opened a channel to the Alliance flagship. I believe we have something to discuss. Those ships were just a small demonstration of what happens when you combine your advanced technology with what you might call primitive methods. Zarlak's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. How? How did you know this would work? Because we never stopped testing everything, Chen replied. While the Alliance focused on advancing specific technologies, humanity kept experimenting with all of them. We never abandoned physical armor when we developed energy shields. We never stopped improving projectile weapons when we developed energy weapons. We kept everything, refined everything, because we learned long ago that every tool has its moment. The tactical display showed more Shatterborn ships turning their attention to the Aegis, their crystalline forms reconfiguring in patterns that suggested they were already trying to adapt to this new threat. But for the first time in 3 years, there was hope in the Alliance fleet. The Shatterborn had encountered something they couldn't easily counter: human unpredictability. Your ships have technologies we've never dreamed of, Chen continued, and we have methods you've forgotten. Together, we might have exactly what we need to end this war. That is, if you're willing to learn some old tricks. Zarlak studied the tactical display, watching as more Shatterborn ships moved to engage the Aegis. The human vessel's success wasn't just luck. It was the result of a fundamental difference in philosophy. Where the Alliance had always sought to perfect single solutions, humans had maintained a vast arsenal of options, ready for any situation. "We're willing to learn, Captain," Zarlak replied, his voice firm with newfound determination. "But first, you'll have to survive long enough to teach us. There are 30 more Shatterborn ships approaching your position." Captain Chen's smile widened. "Good. That means we have their attention. Commander Hayes, initiate BAS protocol. Lieutenant Wong, begin phase variance calculations. Mr. Rodriguez, load the specialty packages. Let's show our new allies why humans never throw away a useful tool, no matter how old it might be." As the Aegis prepared for its next engagement, the Alliance fleet watched in fascination. They were about to witness another demonstration of humanity's greatest weapon, the ability to combine the wisdom of the past with the technology of the present, creating solutions that neither age could have achieved alone. The next few hours aboard the Eternal Dawn transformed the Alliance flagship into an impromptu war college. Alliance officers crowded around displays showing feeds from the Aegis, watching in amazement as the human vessel demonstrated combat techniques their civilization had forgotten millennia ago. Captain Chen's voice carried across the command channel as the Aegis executed another perfectly timed maneuver. "The key isn't just using old technology," she explained. "It's understanding how to combine it with the new. Lieutenant Wong, demonstrate the resonance cascade." The Aegis's hull suddenly erupted with what looked like lightning, artificial static electricity crawling across its surface. The Alliance officers gasped as their advanced sensors temporarily went blind, overwhelmed by the electromagnetic interference. "A simple Tesla coil array," Chen explained, "combined with your quantum field generators. The electromagnetic pulse disrupts the Shatterborn's crystalline communication lattice, while the quantum field prevents the feedback from affecting our own systems." On the tactical display, 3 more Shatterborn ships approached, their crystalline forms shifting to adapt to the previous attacks. But this time, they moved more cautiously, their perfect geometric patterns showing signs of uncertainty. "They're learning," Zarlak observed, "but they're also hesitating. I've never seen them hesitate before. Because they've never faced an enemy that changes tactics this quickly," Commander Hayes replied from the Aegis. "Their adaptation is based on analyzing patterns. We're deliberately avoiding patterns." The Shatterborn opened fire, but instead of their usual coordinated assault, their attack was staggered, as if they were testing different approaches. The Aegis responded with a dazzling display of technological improvisation. Physical armor plates rotated to reflect some beams, while quantum shields absorbed others. Ancient radio waves scrambled crystalline communications, even as state-of-the-art quantum scramblers attacked their higher functions. "Watch closely," Chen instructed the Alliance observers. "Every tool has its moment, but the real art is knowing when to use each one." The battle unfolding before them was unlike anything the Alliance had ever witnessed. The Aegis moved like a dancer, each maneuver combining multiple technologies in ways that seemed to defy conventional military doctrine. When the Shatterborn adapted to one approach, the humans simply switched to another, never using the same combination twice. "Upload complete," Lieutenant Wong announced. "Alliance ships can now integrate our resonance frequencies with their quantum weapon systems." Zarlak turned to his weapons officer. "Implement the human modifications. All ships, prepare to coordinate with the Aegis." The Alliance fleet, which had been holding back, now moved forward with newfound purpose. Their advanced quantum weapons, synchronized with human resonance frequencies, struck the Shatterborn ships in perfect harmony with the Aegis's more conventional attacks. The effect was devastating. Crystalline ships began to break apart, their perfect structures compromised by the combination of old and new technologies. But the Shatterborn were far from defeated. The main body of their fleet began to move, thousands of crystalline ships shifting into new formations. Their adaptive technology was working overtime, trying to counter the unprecedented variety of attacks they faced. "They're calling in reinforcements," Venra reported, her tentacles twisting with concern. Long-range sensors detect at least 2,000 more ships entering the system. Captain Chen's response was not what anyone expected. She laughed. Perfect. That means we have their full attention. High Commander, is your fleet ready to try something really unexpected? What did you have in mind, Captain? Your ships have the most advanced quantum entanglement drives in the galaxy. We have what you'd call primitive nuclear pulse propulsion. Separately, they each have weaknesses. Together, she paused, and even through the video feed, her eyes sparkled with the kind of confidence that only came from knowing you had the perfect plan. Together, we're going to show the Shatterborn why underestimating humans is the last mistake they'll ever make. The Aegis's tactical display lit up with a complex series of maneuvers, showing Alliance ships paired with planned human tactics in ways that defied conventional space combat doctrine. It was beautiful in its audacity, combining technologies across thousands of years of development into something entirely new. It's insane, Venra whispered, studying the plan. The power requirements alone. Exactly, Chen replied. They'll never see it coming. Sometimes the best strategy is the one that seems least logical. Are you with us, High Commander? Zarlak looked at his crew, saw the hope returning to their eyes after years of defeat. They had tried fighting this war with pure advancement, and they had lost. Perhaps it was time to embrace a different kind of progress, one that remembered its roots. We're with you, Captain. All ships, prepare to execute human combat protocols. Let's show the Shatterborn what happens when the most advanced civilization in the galaxy remembers its past. As the combined fleet moved into position, the Shatterborn launched their attack. But this time, they faced something unprecedented. An enemy that wielded both the future and the past as weapons. The real battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The void between stars became a battlefield unlike any the galaxy had ever witnessed. 2,000 Shatterborn ships advanced in perfect crystalline formation, their faceted hulls refracting starlight into deadly prismatic beams. Facing them was a sight that would have been impossible just days ago. Alliance vessels flying in seemingly chaotic patterns alongside the human ship Aegis, their advanced technology working in concert with what many had dismissed as primitive methods. All ships confirm battle readiness, Captain Chen's voice carried across the command channel. Remember your training. No matter how brief it was, you've learned something the Shatterborn can't comprehend. The art of technological flexibility. The Alliance ships have been modified according to human specifications, their hulls now sporting what their crews had initially dismissed as primitive additions. Electromagnetic generators salvaged from old communication arrays, physical armor plates protecting key systems, chemical thrusters providing redundancy alongside quantum drives. First wave incoming, Lieutenant Wong reported from the Aegis. Crystalline formation suggests they've adapted to our previous sonic attacks. As expected, Chen replied. Time to show them why humans never rely on just one approach. Initiate Phase 1. The Alliance fleet split into smaller groups, each executing maneuvers that seemed random to outside observers. But there was a method to the apparent madness. Each group demonstrated different technological combinations, forcing the Shatterborn's adaptive algorithms to spread their defenses thin. Energy spike detected. Venra called from the eternal dawn. They're charging their primary weapons. The Shatterborn attack came as a coordinated blast of prismatic energy, powerful enough to tear through conventional defenses. But the combined fleet was ready. Alliance ships activated their quantum shields while simultaneously engaging their new electromagnetic dispersion fields, a human innovation that turned their defensive bubbles into refractive surfaces. Now, Mr. Rodriguez, Chen commanded, show them what happens when you combine a railgun with quantum tunneling technology. The Aegis's main weapon fired, launching what appeared to be simple metal projectiles. But as they traveled, Alliance ships projected quantum tunneling fields around them, accelerating them to speeds that defied normal physics. The hypervelocity rounds struck the Shatterborn ships at their resonance points, Their crystalline structures unable to adapt to both the physical impact and the quantum effects simultaneously. Multiple direct hits, Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. Their adaptive shielding can't compensate for both kinetic and quantum effects at once. But the Shatterborn were far from defeated. Their ships began to split and recombine, forming new crystalline configurations that none of their previous encounters had displayed. The very structure of their fleet was changing, becoming something more complex and deadly. "They're trying to outthink us," Chen observed, "attempting to predict our next move based on available tactics. That's exactly what we wanted. High Commander, commence Phase 2. Zarlak gave the order, and suddenly the Alliance fleet's formation shifted again. Ships that had been firing quantum weapons switched to modified projectile launchers. Vessels using electromagnetic disruption fields activated sonic resonators instead. Each unit constantly changed its approach, making it impossible for the Shatterborn to establish an effective counter-strategy. "Their adaptation algorithms are showing signs of straying," Wang reported, studying her readings. "The crystalline matrices are experiencing cascading errors as they try to adapt to too many variables at once." The battle space became a testament to human ingenuity merged with Alliance advancement. Quantum-enhanced nuclear devices detonated in carefully calculated patterns, their combined electromagnetic pulses disrupting crystalline communications. Alliance ships used their advanced sensors to guide what appeared to be simple heat-seeking missiles, the primitive weapons proving devastatingly effective against the Shatterborn's now confused defenses. "We're actually pushing them back," Venra said in amazement, watching as the mighty Shatterborn fleet began to show signs of disarray. "Their perfect formations are breaking down." But Captain Chen's expression remained focused. "They're not beaten yet. In fact, they're about to do exactly what we need them to do. Look at their core ships." The center of the Shatterborn fleet was indeed changing. The largest crystalline vessels were combining into something massive, their structures growing and reshaping into a form that dwarfed everything around it. "They're creating a control node," Wang explained to the Alliance observers, "centralizing their adaptive capabilities to try and overcome our unpredictable tactics." "Exactly as the simulations predicted," Chen smiled. "They're so focused on finding the perfect counter to our strategy that they're abandoning their greatest strength, their distributed network. High Commander, are you ready for the real battle?" Zarlak studied the tactical display, watching as the massive crystalline structure continued to grow. "You knew they would do this, that they would make themselves vulnerable." "We hoped they would," Chen replied. "The Shatterborn's greatest weakness isn't in their technology. It's in their inability to truly understand human nature. They can't comprehend why we would intentionally use less advanced methods alongside newer ones. Their perfect logic tells them we must be forced into it by desperation or lack of resources. And instead, we're about to show them why humans believe in keeping all our options open. All ships, prepare for Phase 3. It's time to demonstrate what happens when you combine 10,000 years of military science into one perfectly coordinated attack." The combined fleet began moving into new positions, preparing for what would either be their finest moment or their last stand. The fate of the galaxy would be decided not by who had the most advanced technology, but by who could use all their technology most effectively. The massive crystalline structure at the heart of the Shatterborn fleet pulsed with energy, its surface shifting and flowing like liquid glass. It had grown to nearly the size of a small moon, drawing in more ships to add to its mass. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying, the ultimate expression of the Shatterborn's technological perfection. Final preparations complete. Commander Hayes reported from the Aegis' engineering station. All ships report ready for synchronized attack. Captain Chen stood at the center of her bridge, her presence radiating the calm confidence that had inspired both her crew and their alien allies. "High Commander, is the quantum network established?" "Confirmed," Zarlak replied from the Eternal Dawn. "Though I still can't believe we're using it to coordinate what you call obsolete weapons. The oldest weapons can be the most effective, especially when enhanced by the newest technology. Chen turned to her tactical officer. "Mr. Rodriguez, begin the countdown. Let's show them why humanity never stopped building nuclear weapons, even after we developed quantum cannons." The combined fleet moved with perfect coordination, each ship carrying a piece of the puzzle that would either save the galaxy or mark their final defeat. Alliance vessels activated their quantum entanglement fields, creating a network of synchronized fire control that would have been impossible with older technology. At the same time, they launched what appeared to be primitive nuclear missiles. But these weapons had been modified with technology from both civilizations. "Shatterborn control structure is responding," Wang reported, her fingers dancing across her console. "Their adaptive algorithms are shifting to counter both quantum and nuclear threats simultaneously." The massive crystalline structure began to change, its surface developing layers of complex geometric patterns designed to deflect both energy and physical attacks. But that was exactly what the humans had been counting on. "They're doing it," Chen announced. "They're trying to create the perfect defense against everything we've shown them." Initiate final protocol. The battle that unfolded next would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. The Alliance fleet's quantum-enhanced nuclear weapons struck first, their detonations carefully timed and positioned. But these were just the opening moves. As the Shatterborn structure adapted to absorb and deflect the attacks, something unprecedented happened. The Aegis fired what looked like a simple radio broadcast, the kind of electromagnetic transmission that had been obsolete for millennia. But this signal, carried by the Alliance's quantum network, penetrated the Shatterborn's defenses in a way that should have been impossible. It wasn't meant to damage them directly. It was carrying code. "Signal-penetrating crystalline matrix," Wang confirmed. "Their adaptation algorithms are attempting to analyze the transmission." This was the moment they had been waiting for. As the Shatterborn's central intelligence focused on decoding what it thought was a primitive communication attempt, the real attack began. Every ship in the combined fleet fired simultaneously, each using a different combination of old and new technology. Rail guns enhanced by quantum acceleration, sonic disruptors carried by tachyon beams, nuclear warheads wrapped in fields that bent spacetime itself. "They can't adapt fast enough," Venra observed with growing excitement. "Their perfect structure is trying to become everything at once." The massive crystalline structure's surface began to shift chaotically, trying to generate defenses against every possible form of attack. But there were too many variables, too many different technologies spanning thousands of years of development. The perfect crystalline lattice that gave the Shatterborn their strength began to show signs of strain. "Now," Chen commanded, "all ships, execute final attack pattern. Show them what happens when you combine everything humanity and the Alliance have ever created." The combined fleet's formation shifted one last time, forming a pattern that mirrored the Shatterborn's crystalline structure. But where the enemy was rigid and perfect, this formation flowed and changed like water. Alliance quantum technology merged with human adaptability, creating something that was greater than the sum of its parts. The attack that followed wasn't just a display of military might. It was a symphony of technological evolution. Every weapon humanity had ever created, enhanced by the most advanced alien science, struck in perfect harmony. The Shatterborn structure, trying to adapt to thousands of different attack vectors simultaneously, began to break apart. "Their adaptive algorithms are failing," Wang reported. "The crystalline structure is experiencing catastrophic resonance cascade." The massive structure that had been the Shatterborn's ultimate expression of power began to fracture along its perfect geometric lines. Light poured from the growing cracks, and then, in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, it shattered. The explosion was spectacular, sending crystalline fragments spinning across space like a new field of stars. The remaining Shatterborn ships, cut off from their central control, began to drift aimlessly. Without the adaptive intelligence that had made them so formidable, they were just empty shells of crystal and light. All enemy ships showing zero energy readings, Rodriguez confirmed. The threat has been neutralized. A cheer went up across the combined fleet, but Captain Chen wasn't finished. She opened a channel to all ships. This victory belongs to all of us, humans and Alliance alike. We won not because we had the most advanced technology, but because we learned to use all technology wisely. The Shatterborn failed because they believed that newer always meant better, that perfection meant abandoning the past. They couldn't understand that true advancement comes not from replacing the old with the new, but from finding ways to use everything we've learned throughout history. High Commander Zarlak's voice joined hers on the command channel. We owe humanity a debt that can never be repaid. You've taught us that progress isn't just about moving forward. It's about remembering where we came from and carrying those lessons with us. Chen smiled. Consider it the beginning of a beautiful partnership. After all, we humans have plenty of old technologies gathering dust in our archives, just waiting to be combined with your advanced science. Together, we can create defenses that no enemy will ever be able to adapt to. As the combined fleet regrouped and began the work of securing the sector, the galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. True strength lies not in achieving perfection, but in maintaining the wisdom and flexibility to use every tool at your disposal. The age of rigid technological progression was over. A new era of innovation had begun, guided by human ingenuity and enhanced by alien advancement.